All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Let me see about the volume here. Volume here. Volume here. So I got a new microphone. I got a new camera. I did a live earlier. This is going to be on. I want to take that off. Hold on. Give me 1 second here. Yeah. All right. That's a lot better. This is going to be on Brian Shaffer missing. He went in a bar and was never seen again. So let's see if anybody watches this damn thing. I've done I've done sorry, I was looking up at the ceiling there. Um I've done about five, well probably eight. I deleted some videos. I've done one on this one earlier, but I didn't like the background thing, so I changed it. And it was a little long, so I'm gonna kind of do one and kind of keep it interesting. Try to keep it interesting here. Uh just want to see if anybody excuse me, if anybody comes in here. I would play some music here. We'll see about that. Every time I put the coffee pot down on the desk here, it's like sounds like a it sounds like a shotgun just went off. Oh, cool. That's cool. Did that come up? Let me see. Yeah, be right back. I'm just seeing put my StreamYard thing up here. Where's that's a welcome. Breaking news. Did that come up? Breaking news. That is really cool. Backgrounds. Here we go. Sound. Is that music coming on? Oh, this is pretty cool, man. You got music here. Drum roll. More sounds. Police sirens. Oh, did that not go off? Where's the police sirens not work? Dance pop. Oh yeah, I'd love to play this. Yeah. This is when you like Wolfman Jack come in. We got the Rockies playing back. Welcome to the channel here. We're coming at you live. And if you are not in the chat, you are missing out. Ow! Nice. Pretty cool, pretty cool, pretty cool. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Don't be afraid. Join the live chat. Join the live chat with the guy that colors his facial hair so you can see it. If it wasn't for just for men, you wouldn't see this man's facial hair. He has eyeglasses like John Lennon and a hairline like the Wolfman himself. Oh. If you can dig it, grab yourself a shovel. Night driving into space. Yeah, I think I might play this one here. Oh, that's I guess what you play in the music, like when you don't want to get you don't want to get. I think like when you don't want to get struck, so you play music. Yeah, that's what I learned from other YouTubers. So yeah, just kind of waiting to see if anybody jumps in the chat tonight. We are at 9:48, I believe. I was on the cell phone, but I think it's about 70 degrees out tonight. Not too hot, not too cold. Oh, yeah. I've been thinking, brother. Yeah, I'm the macho man. Yeah, brother. What you gonna do when the 24-inch python come for you, brother? So it looks like I'm alone tonight. So, see, I want to get these police sirens working here. Woo! We got the buzz out tonight. They're coming out. They're coming for me. Yeah, I'm running down the street, brother. Oh, yeah. Oh. Yo. Come here. Yo. Come here, yo. Come here, yo. Come here, yo. So you're trying to think what other voices I can do. So join me, this is like my 8th cup of coffee. I got my tank tops on. Somebody said that you should maybe call your little podcast of 0 people, you should maybe call it tank tops. Tank tops ain't true. What do you guys think about that? Does that catch your fancy? I'm gonna practice my laughs. Yeah, I'm just killing time here for 8 minutes, and I might in this one, believe it. So yeah. So I'm gonna pause the music. Let's go ahead and get this going now. I was just goofing around there. So whatever you do, please do not come in my chat. I really don't want anybody in my chat. Actually, I'll sue the shit out of you. If you join my chat right now, I will sue you for everything you have. Everything. Your cats, your dogs, your dirty socks, everything. So don't join my fucking chat. Get the fuck out. I don't want no comments or nothing. So do not join my chat. That's not why I do it. I don't give a shit. You know, like this, buddy. Right there, like that. Like that. I don't care. This should go viral, guy flipping out, you know. So anyhow, we're 10 minutes in. No one's joined the chat. So, all right, well, let's get with it, man. This is about Brian. This is going to be about Brian Shaffer. He's 20. He was a 27 at the time year-old med student. He went missing April 1st, April Fool's Day, 2006. He went into a bar, the Ugly Tuna Saloona. Yeah, that's right, the Ugly Tuna Saloona, and he was never seen again. And I'm going to play a video here that will kind of recap this and get us going on to kind of where we're at. So let's get to it here. I haven't forgot how to do this. All right, here we go. Let's go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
There's the usual stress of final exams, but this year on this campus, something unusual: fear and foreboding.
You think something terrible happened? I truly do.
It's a mystery with tantalizing clues on tape. 1 minute, this young man was a grainy image on a surveillance video. The next minute, he was gone, and police are baffled.
All the tips that we've received thus far has turned into nothing.
And one student is living a nightmare until another student is found.
I want him home. You know, I want to see him every day.
There he is.
She's talking about 27-year-old
Nice.
Brian Shaffer, a second-year medical student who seemed to have everything going for him: good looks, good grades, and a girlfriend he adored. Awesome and amazing is how he described Alexis Wagoner on his MySpace profile, and she says the same about him.
It's brilliant. He's handsome, he's sweet and loyal and caring.
Like Brian, Alexis is in second-year med school. Like Brian, she's super smart and striking. The two were inseparable. They'd planned a trip to Florida for spring break, and they had even bigger plans.
Are you convinced he's the guy?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, pretty much since day one, I really thought of him as kind of the love of my life.
Want to get married?
Yeah.
Then one spring night, Brian vanished.
Brian was last seen in this Columbus neighborhood, not far from the Ohio State campus. It was early in the morning on Saturday, April 1st. Brian had been out bar hopping with a friend from school.
The evening began about 9 p.m. when Brian met up with his friend Clint Florence. The two were former roommates and drinking buddies. That Friday was supposed to be just another night out, as Clint told MSNBC's Rita Cosby.
That was
right on this one out. There's nothing new. Sat down, opened the tab, and had 3, 4, 5 shots of liquor.
Yeah, there's
Alexis, visiting her family for the weekend, was checking in by phone and called Brian at 10 p.m.
Did he sound at all concerned when you talked with him Friday night?
Nope.
He wasn't worried on the phone?
Nope.
Did he sound down, depressed in any way?
He sounded fine.
He actually left her a message.
After Brian and Alexis spoke, Clint told the police that he and Brian walked to some more bars and downed some more shots. And then, with a friend of Clint's in tow, ended the night at the bar where they'd started. This surveillance tape shows them at 1:15 a.m. coming up the escalator to the bar. That's Brian leaning on the handrail. Once inside, they ran into a couple of young women Clint knew.
And Brian was doing his usual thing and was talking to those two girls.
See, I'm gonna get a pause there. I think that's where the father got upset. Him saying that. But if you watch the, they'll show the footage of him talking to two girls, and then there's an interview with one of the girls, and basically she says that he was flirting with her, she was flirting with him. I think he asked her to put she or he, but anyway, she put her number in his phone. So, the guy is supposedly going to propose to his girlfriend. I don't know.
At 1:55 a.m., Brian made his final appearance on the video. He was outside the bar chatting with the young women. Then he walked out of frame and disappeared. Police say it appears he went back into the bar. Minutes later, Clint and his friend got ready to go.
It was closing time about 2:10, 2 o'clock, and Brian was nowhere to be seen.
They told police they called Brian's cell and got no answer, even checked the bathroom, but no luck. So they left without him. Saturday.
Yeah, I don't know if you caught it there or not, but Clint said that he was going to go in and talk to the band. Brian was a big fan of music. His favorite band was Pearl Jam. He had a Pearl Jam Stickman tattoo, I believe, on his left or right outer bicep area. I'm sure they'll tell about that.
It passed without a word from Brian. By Sunday morning, Alexis was growing more and more concerned. She hadn't talked to Brian since that Friday night call, and they were due to leave for Florida the next morning, and he still wasn't answering his cell.
I was really scared.
Late that night, Alexis says she began what would become a ritual, going to Brian's apartment to see if by some miracle he'd come home. Inside, she broke down. Since then, she says she's cried millions of tears.
I came here every single day the first few weeks and just, you know.
And that's actually the background of that one picture where he's playing the guitar. They might show that later. But it looks like she's actually inside his dorm room.
Laid here in the middle of his bed and just sobbed.
5 weeks after Brian disappeared and after an intensive investigation, Columbus police still have no idea where Brian could be. Sergeant John Hurst is the lead investigator.
Any sign he's used his credit cards?
No, there's no sign of credit card usage.
Cell phone?
No cell phone usage.
Buses, airplanes?
Nothing.
One part of the mystery is how Brian left the building without being caught on tape. Both bar exits are covered by cameras, as is the escalator that leads to the street. Outside the bar, out of camera view, are stairs and an elevator that lead to the first floor. Once on the first floor, the only way out, without being seen on tape, would be through a service exit that leads to a construction site with doors to the street. But why would Brian go that way?
There's no reason for anybody to want to go out that area. It's heavily under construction.
But then again, he was known to kind of do the Irish goodbye, kind of like just leave and not tell anybody. Also, it's reported that, him and Clint would get into fights and then he would just kind of dip out. And he actually lived really close to the Ugly Tuna Saloon there. But that was a bad area where he walked home. You can go online and you can see they show a map path to how you get there. A lot of crime there as well. This is Columbus, Ohio.
And would be difficult sober.
Police say it's possible that because Brian was drinking heavily that night, he may have been vulnerable to foul play. If Brian tried to walk back to his apartment half a dozen blocks away, he would have been an easy target. Police say there's a significant amount of crime in that neighborhood. In the meantime, Brian's father, Randy, is desperate to know what happened to his son.
What has been the toughest moment for you?
And before we get to that, being a college student, I guess he wasn't well dressed. Green t-shirt and like a white, maybe thermal underneath of it, a pair of, jeans. Like he kind of that night he was kind of dressed kind of grungish, not that preppy type, that you usually see as a doctor. This right here is a part of an interview from his father. And,
just not knowing or understanding what, why, where, how. I mean, there's just nothing that really fits.
This ordeal has been even more devastating for Randy because just 4 weeks before Brian disappeared, his wife of nearly 29 years, Brian's mother, died of cancer.
Is it Renee? Is that her name?
I still understand why I would have to go through so much.
Brian spent that last night before he went out with his friends,
did this
consoling his dad.
He was concerned about me. He was going to go out drinking that night earlier. And he told them, guys, I have to be there for my dad,
So he waited to go out that night.
Because he wanted to be with me.
Now his father would give anything to be with him.
Somebody out there has to know something. No matter how small or whatever it may be, please don't be afraid to call. Please help me find my son.
If you know anything about Brian Shaffer's disappearance or to learn more about the case, log on to our website at dateline.msnbc.com. Tonight, a story.
So yeah, there you go. That was actually a good little video. It had some video footage of Brian there because that's hard to find. There's not a lot of video footage out there, and there's one of Clint being interviewed. So yeah, let's go ahead and see what else we got here. Yeah, it's definitely a mystery what happened here. Um, yeah, Nancy Grace earlier. I'm not real good. This one's pretty good here too.
A medical student spends the night out with friends, but never makes it back home.
I have so many questions about what happened.
Mysterious surveillance footage seems to show the impossible.
His friends are seen leaving, but he is not seen on any of the cameras.
There's just all these unanswered questions.
What has happened to Brian Shaffer?
My name is Lori Davis, and I'm an advocate for the Shaffer family. Brian Shaffer went missing on April 1st, 2006 from Columbus, Ohio.
27-year-old Brian Shaffer grows up with big dreams in small-town Ohio.
He grew up in Pickerington, Ohio. He was very good at tennis, and some even say that he could have went semi-pro.
Inspired by his mother, Renee, a nurse, Brian decides to pursue a career in medicine. In 2004, he enrolls in a medical school in Columbus.
Brian was extremely close with his mother. She had had cancer, and they spent a lot of time at the hospital together, and I believe that relationship grew stronger because of that.
But in March 2006, Renee loses her battle against cancer. Brian is devastated.
When she died, that did rock Brian's world.
Brian has one last gift from his mother to look forward to: a spring break trip to Miami with his girlfriend, Alexis.
The trip was a Christmas gift from Renee to Brian. He was excited. It was the end of the semester before spring break, but I think he was looking forward to spending time with Alexis. There is speculation that Brian may propose to her.
On the first night of spring break, Brian goes out bar hopping with friends.
They went to the Ugly Tuna Saloona. They had a few drinks. There was a band playing.
So it looks like it was the 31st onto the 1st. So just want to point that out.
Bar is packed. When the lights come on at 2 a.m., he's nowhere to be found.
His friends actually called Brian, tried to find him, went and looked in the bathroom.
Finally, they assume that Brian must have walked home on his own.
And they ended up leaving and going home. The following day, his girlfriend was getting concerned because she was unable to reach Brian.
She calls his father, Randy.
Randy told me it was around 7 p.m. when he got the call that something was wrong, that, no one was able to reach Brian, that he had not slept in his bed. Brian was reported missing that Sunday evening.
The next morning, Randy Shaffer's worst fears are confirmed when Brian doesn't show up for his flight to Miami.
When Brian missed his flight on Monday, Randy really knew that he was in trouble.
I'm retired Sergeant John Hurst from the Columbus Police Department. I was working prior to my retirement, the Brian Shaffer case.
After Brian misses his flight to Miami, police expand their search efforts.
We were able to check airlines to make sure that he didn't show up and take the flight without his girlfriend. When we talked to the family on Monday, we found out that Brian was with his friend Clint Florence from the university, and they had went to the Ugly Tuna Saloona.
Detectives' attention turns to the bar. Surveillance video shows Brian just moments before he disappears.
We were able to watch them from the garage all the way into the Ugly Tuna Saloona, where we had them going up the escalator and back into the bar.
Brian looked very happy. He was talking, smiling.
The last thing we did see that evening of Brian was he was out on the upper level
A couple security guards are standing there, and then Brian is talking with two females.
After the women leave, Brian is seen re-entering the bar just before 2 a.m.
We seen Brian go back off the camera and we're unable to locate him leaving the building.
Every exit is covered by a camera. Brian is never caught on camera leaving the bar.
We went through the Ugly Tuna Saloon bar, checking for any type of exit or areas where somebody may have been able to slip out.
The only way Brian could have left undetected was through a back door in the middle of a construction zone. But why would he sneak away?
He has no reason to just up and disappear.
Brian's friends are at a loss.
We did find out that Clint and Brian had a verbal altercation inside the bar. We did try to get Clint Florence to come in and do a polygraph, but he contacted an attorney and decided to not take a polygraph. The question comes up, why did he not take the polygraph? But some people just don't trust polygraphs.
Without more evidence, police have no reason to pursue Clint as a suspect. Instead, they focus their efforts on finding Brian.
We did work with the cell phone company. Unfortunately, the technology back then isn't as sophisticated as it is now. The last signal was around 2:10 a.m. when a text was sent by Clint asking where he was. We had search dogs come in. We had the dive team check the Olentangy River. No stone was left unturned.
Thankfully, Brian received a lot of media attention.
We had tips that come in that Brian was in numerous states throughout the country, Sweden, Jamaica.
Not one single tip has panned out.
Nearly 6 months after Brian's disappearance, a new lead emerges.
Alexis would call him daily, and it would always go directly to voicemail. It was in September of 2006. The phone actually did not go to voicemail, it rang.
Was it Brian on the other end?
The technician explained that just had more to do with the cell phone tower sending out a signal looking for the phone, which would cause a delay.
We're being told that that was a glitch, but we're not sure about that even to this day. It gave so much hope to the family. Imagine how you would feel when you hear, oh my goodness, it actually rang.
That was a month later too. Yeah.
In April 2006, Brian Shaffer vanishes from Columbus, Ohio, and hasn't been seen since. 2 years later, tragedy strikes again.
We had a severe storm move through the area, high winds.
The next morning, I received a phone call. Randy had been killed the following evening. A tree had fallen on him. I knew that day that I couldn't give up on Brian's case. When Randy left this world, he had so many questions about his son. I have to believe that Randy knows all those answers now.
Brian's remaining loved ones continue to search for answers.
Brian's got a brother. He's got a sister-in-law. He's got a nephew. He's got friends that still love him and still write to me about him.
The family didn't give us any indication that he was depressed or upset to the point that he would do something.
I have to hope Brian's alive. The only other option is not a good option.
Maybe Brian left everything behind to start over somewhere new. But where would he go and why?
He was on the path to become a doctor, but many have speculated that possibly that wasn't his dream, but that was his parents' dream.
We've had reports that he wanted to go to Florida and be a beach bum.
Brian wrote on MySpace that he would rather be on a beach smoking with Bob Marley. So was that Brian being funny, or was that truly what Brian Shaffer wanted?
If he did take off, why? And, if it was suicide, why?
Those who know Brian best have a different theory.
Randy never even considered the thought that maybe Brian had walked away. He felt that Brian had met with foul play.
If he did succumb to some type of foul play, somebody out there knows something.
The people closest to Brian still hope that one day they'll learn the truth.
I always get the question asked, what do I think happened? Is Brian alive? Is he still out there? My answer to that is there's nothing to indicate that he's not out there.
Brian was 6'2".
Can't rule it
He was
out.
approximately 165 to 170. He had hazel eyes, and he does have a dot on the left iris that would be noticeable. He also has a Pearl Jam stickman tattoo on the right bicep.
Right bicep.
My hope
bicep,
is someday that we will have all the answers and give some closure to the family.
I ask that anyone that has factual information to share that. It's been long enough.
All right, let's go ahead and pause that. That's a good screen grab. So yeah, there it is. Yeah, yeah, okay, good. Yeah, there he is, Brian Shaffer. That's the number, I guess, to contact if you know anything or seen anything. Yeah, I mean, the question is, what happened to this guy? You know, did he wander off and start a new life? You know, there's reports that he was seen down south somewhere like Puerto Rico, Puerto Vera, or Puerto Rico area. He was a waiter down there. There was a police officer that thought he saw him. And also, I believe that he went down there before he went missing, and for a couple of weeks or a week, and no one knew. This time, he was expected to take that trip with his girlfriend there, and then you got Clint not taking a polygraph. Was that because of he obviously got a lawyer. I heard too that the father, Randy, and Derek were kind of thinking that Clint had something to do with it, and I believe Randy got pretty vocal, Brian's father, there, and maybe he lawyered up after that. There's reports that I don't know if this stuff is true or not. This is just my opinion. It's what I heard. There's rumors. They're talking about the relationship with Randy and Brian not being very close. There's some rumors to that. And Randy was looked into. I don't think they said that. And there was something else too that I should have wrote down that they didn't mention that I wanted to mention. I thought was important. They did a search at the landfill. A lot of theories think that he went into a dumpster and slept it off or whatever, or he was unalive and then thrown in the dumpster because they did check. Check the landfill. So they just don't check landfills for no reason. So that was a theory too. I believe a detective said in an interview that he thought maybe he was thrown in the dumpster or he went in the dumpster, fell asleep, and then maybe when I assume they have the machines that lift the dumpsters up, so maybe he was crushed or something, and that does happen. It doesn't happen a whole lot, and I think he was pretty intoxicated that night. He was actually, I believe, supposed to meet up with some people later too, some friends, and obviously he never made it there. And I don't think he ever got a hold of them either. And that night he did leave Alexa, his girlfriend. I want to keep saying fiance, but it was his girlfriend, a message that night. So I believe that she was in Toledo with her family. The dog was sick, and his brother Derek. He wanted his brother Derek to go out with him, and then he had a first date with his wife now, and they went to like a funny bone. And then I think he even invited his dad, and his dad didn't really want him to go out. And then he goes out with Clint, and then Clint invites Meredith, and he's a third wheel. And then there was reports that him and Clint got in an argument, and so my theory. I'll just tell you what my theory is and what I'm leaning towards. I'm leaning towards he started a new life. That he went down to Puerto Rico, down south there somewhere, and just started a new life. I think, in my opinion, there's just too much evidence pointing that way. Even Clint's lawyer put a thing out there that Brian was still alive, and that's a theory too. Maybe Clint knows that he started a new life, and I respect that Brian. He didn't say anything, and that's why he didn't want to take the quality, lawyered up. Lawyer will put a statement out there like that too. If Clint, hypothetically was, guilty, had something to do with this too, because if Brian's still alive, there's no murder, there's no body, there's no murder. But it just depends on how you look at that. But I think, he was going through a lot. His mom died, and then, him and his dad sounded like they were fighting over some inheritance, and his brother too. I think he felt alone. I think like everybody was doing something else. He wanted to hang out with his family and friends. And I think, either he said, hell with this, I'm going to start a new life. And maybe he went down there just to go down there for a week, and a week turned into, 19 years, 20 years. Or the other theory would be, that would be my first theory. Another theory would be on his way home, he was met with foul play, and maybe he was thrown in the dumpster because, I mean, usually like he got hit by a car or something, they probably would leave his body out there. If he was in an altercation, they'd probably leave his body out there. But maybe they just like there's a dumpster right there, like, hey, there's like three guys. Hey, just throw him in the dumpster. I'll buy us some time. Let's get out of here. And then also he could have met up with somebody that night too. He could have went like like hop in the car with somebody. He's a college kid and hop in the car with somebody, and then maybe he was met with foul play or something, later on. Some people think he might still be in that building. There's some crazy stories where, but I mean, I think by now, his body would have been found. But yeah, I'm not going to go. That's probably about far as I'm going to go with this. This one's going to, I guess, be a shorter video. So yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and call it there.